Hello, podcast land! Welcome to Voice of the Parrot. I'm your host, Shasta Ray, and I am joined in the studio by Murray, my little adorable cockatiel. He's been kind of ornery lately. He's enjoying some cockatiel seed mix with some pellets mixed in and some refreshing cool water. Oh my gosh, it is hot out. I am recording this at quite literally 9:30 at night. And it's going to be a quick one. The whole house is hot and muggy and swampy because it is just that time of year. And I am going to melt. Holy cow. Oh my gosh. Anyway, this is a little bit of a detour episode this evening. I'm going to kind of keep this short. I'm going to do some quickie storytelling for you guys and maybe some inspiration for a few things. So, like I have said, chaos, oh my gosh, crazy time of the year, crazy things going on in my life. You will find out about these as time progresses. And one thing I'll say is, in the middle of it all, I decided to hire someone to help me with some tasks around my house. The wall in the living room where the birds reside gets covered, and I mean covered with food and chop and stuff, and it had kind of damaged the paint mildly by way of staining it more than anything because I use different color veggies. Anyway, it was looking pretty shabby, so I hired someone to come in and fix that for me and paint over that part of it. And I used a very low VOC paint, so it was non-detrimental, but I still was on the cautious side, and I moved all of my birds out of the bird room and into a completely different area of the house. So that was my bedroom. And I just wanted to talk about this because I have found out there is a lot of people out there this time of year, because the weather is agreeable, that are getting all kinds of renovations done on their house or additions or remodeling, things of that nature where you're going to be putting in carpet, you're going to be painting, you're going to be having fumes going on or maybe some deep cleaning or something going on. And this is just kind of my reminder that as you're planning some of these home projects during the summer months and even into the fall months is when people tend to do a lot of this stuff, keep your birds in mind. And even if you have other pets that you need to make arrangements for so that they're safe and not underfoot or whatever the case is, make this part of your plan when you plan. And back to the flock. So I didn't know how to attack this without having to tear down all their cages, put them up in another room on another floor, and everything that goes with that. Well, when I first got Murray, he was up in my bedroom for a number of months, and I kept him in a Critter Nation cage, like a single-story Critter Nation that I converted into a bird cage. The wire spacing is 1/2 inch, so it's absolutely great for a cockatiel. They're very big, they're very spacious. So I threw a few more perches in there because I still had that up in my room. Just hadn't been using it. I moved him to his own cage down to the bird room. So he hasn't been using it for quite some time. That said, I put a whole bunch of perches in there, extra perches, and a whole bunch of food dish holders and water dish holders, and just loaded that cage up. Okay. Then I moved all of the budgies in there and made it a community cage for 2 whole days. And we had birdie slumber party at night. It was fun for me. It was probably a little bit stressful for them, but it was really nice because since it was such a strange change of environment for them, it was a little bit stressful, and they all kind of leaned on each other for, emotional support through that. I hate saying it that way, but it's the truth. Budgies and birds in general are very much creatures of habit. So all I really needed to do is move a cage up there for Murray so he had his own space. And I started off with a separate cage for Bug since he's an exhibition budgie. Regular budgies can tend to pick on some of these exhibition budgies sometimes, but I ended up moving him into the community cage and they all did great together. They got along and everyone had plenty of personal space. So it worked out great. And then in the evening, when I didn't have any worries of the back doors being open or windows being open or anything like that, I let everyone out to run around in my bedroom and we had TV on. They had their own air filtration system up there and air conditioning, everything. And then I drape off the entrance. And then back downstairs where the work was being done, we had windows open, we had fans drawing stuff out of the house, as well as fans pushing fresh air through that particular room, so it wouldn't, create a backdraft back into the house so much. And it worked great. Keep in mind when you're working with paints and some types of new carpet, stuff like that, a lot of these materials can off-gas for a long time, and they are very bad for us and incredibly bad for your birds. So if you're doing any remodeling, look into the materials and do some research before you pay for anything or decide on anything specific, because you do not want this to harm your birds. And then the reason I left them in my room for an extra night was just to make sure the paint was fully cured and there was no fumes or anything going on in there. I just kept a steady stream of fresh air flowing through there for 2 solid days, and it worked fantastic. They're all back down in their cages. But it was a lot of fun, and they were running around and climbing on cages and playing in Murray's cage, and they had dinner up there, and by the end of it, they were pretty chill. They seemed a lot more relaxed, and they did get time out of their cage. It was just a completely new environment for them, but it was a lot of fun for me. Oh my goodness, it was so fun. And then that room tends to light up differently because it faces a different direction than the bird room. So it gets very sunny in my bedroom very early. And even with covers on the cage, Murray was up early. I am talking as soon as the sun was up, and he was like his own little rooster crowing in the morning, except instead of a rooster crowing, it was peekaboo, 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 until I took the cover off the cage, and then he would talk to me and made me get up and drink a little extra coffee those days. So Yep. It was quite the adventure. So if you have any projects going on this summer, make sure that you have safety matters in mind for your birds, and not only with materials and things that could give off fumes that are dangerous for them, but also if you're going to have work people coming in and out of your house, that sort of thing, make sure that your birds are secure and they cannot get out, okay? So you want several different safety layers going on in the equation. You can never be too safe. I have seen so many posts in the groups over the past few weeks of birds that have gotten out and people can't find them. They're offering rewards. And then I see other posts where other birds are found. And it's really hard to get those to match up. So don't take that risk. Keep your birds safe. Remember, they are being raised in captivity. They do not know how to forage, and they are not natural to your areas. So it is hit or miss if they're going to be able to keep themselves alive and find water, find food that's appropriate for them or that will sustain them. And then if they're used to other household animals, they could be in danger of cats. They're always going to be in danger of falcons and hawks, that sort of thing. Those kinds of birds are pretty much all over the place. So you want to keep your babies safe. Keep them safe. And last but not least, let's just end this on a positive note. There are a few things that you can do, even if you live in an apartment with a balcony, or you have a tiny little yard, or you don't have the time or ability for a garden. You can always get some containers and have a small little container garden, and you can grow a few things for your birds. So, a few things you might want to consider is basil. That grows super duper easy, super duper quick. Same with cilantro. And then you have some fresh herbs to feed to them. Yay! You can also get, they're called Johnny Jump Ups or violas. Those can be a nice little cute edible flower that they can have. I wouldn't load them up on that, but every now and then is good for some variety. You can feed them rose petals. Just make sure you clean everything and nothing has been exposed to any kind of insecticides. Nothing has been exposed to any kind of herbicides or toxins in that sense. Make sure everything is completely organic. And then you can also grow other stuff in your garden like beets. Some people do those in containers with some luck. You might want to do some YouTube channels on how to do that properly so they grow well. You can even grow your own spray millet. Just save some seeds aside from millet you're feeding your birds and plant it out in a planter. See what happens. Can't hurt. They can eat the whole plant. They can eat the leaves. They'll chew on it. They'll play with it. It's a good thing. And then, of course, if you want to grow something else that's really easy, like beans or peas, things of that nature, you can mix that into their chop, and that's usually pretty easy to grow. You'll need something for it to climb on, though. Most of those are climbers. So those are just some easy to grow plants that you can feed your birds. And if you go back on the podcast for the cookbook review, some of those cookbooks that I reviewed on there have some really great herbs, vegetables, and flowers that you can feed to your birds. There's lists, and I think I note that in that episode. So go back and take a listen to that, and that might give you some ideas if you've got a green thumb and you want to try growing some greens for your birds this summer. But even though it's towards the end of June as I record this, you can still grow stuff that cycles really quickly and easily. Here again, like the cilantro, the basil, those are two plants you can just continually plant all summer long and have fresh new plants sprouting and growing up. And then another one is dill. And dill is a favorite of my birds. It's technically a weed, so it's another one that's very, 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 very easy to grow. And I would advise that it's good to feed it to them, but don't let them overload on it. So maybe give it to them every other couple days or so, in with their greens and their chop and stuff like that, or mix it in with things. So I hope that provides some great ideas and things you can do for your birds. But please, people, there is so much. I drive around, I see construction people working on houses just when I'm driving through neighborhoods trying to get to the grocery store, whatever. And then here again, I had my own worker in my home. And, we left the back door open and everything, so I had to make sure my babies were safe. And he was very well aware of that, and so I didn't have any worries on that. And, we planned out our time so I could get the birds moved, and then I just made provisions with fans and ventilation. And here again, do your research on any products that you're going to be using in your house, because some of these are convenient for us and they look really nice and everything, but there are invisible components to it that can harm our animals. So be very careful. And with that said, I am going to get this edited and published, and go have fun with your birds. Go play with your birds. Keep your birds safe. And, oh my gosh, stay cool this summer. It is a hot one this year. Holy cow. Have a great one, everyone. Bye-bye.